While walking on the beach, people look out for a number of things: shells, buried treasure, crabs and dolphins among them. But if you're on a beach in British Columbia, you might want to keep an eye out for something a little more sinister. Since August 20, 2007, at least 20 detached human feet have been found on the coasts of the Salish Sea in British Columbia, Canada, and Washington, U.S. The first discovery, on August 20, 2007, was on Jedediah Island in British Columbia. The severed feet have also been discovered on the coasts of the islands of British Columbia, in the U.S. cities of British Columbia, and in the U.S. cities of Tacoma and Seattle. The feet have been surprising unlucky British Columbians for over a decade. The first foot was eventually matched to a deceased man whose family declined to provide additional information, bizarre but not particularly alarming, until another showed up on Gabriola Island less than a month later. More feet followed, and though some were matched to missing persons, most remained anonymous. Instead, police focused on the fact that each foot was encased in a running shoe. In Canada, the BC Coroner's Service said in December 2017 that foul play had been ruled out by authorities in all investigations and that the feet came from people who were killed either in accidents or by suicide, and the feet detached during the normal decomposition process. The feet were usually found in sneakers, which the coroner thought were responsible for both keeping the feet buoyant enough to eventually wash ashore and for giving the feet enough protection from decomposition to be found relatively intact. Prior to the recent seeming rush of feet washing ashore, there have been earlier instances going back more than a century, such as a leg in a boot that was found on Vancouver Beach in 1887. The most recent discovery was on January 1, 2019, when people on Jetty Island in Everett, Washington called police to report a boot with a human foot inside, which the coroner was able to match to Antonio Neal, missing since December 12, 2016. These foot discoveries are not the first ones on British Columbia's coast. One was found in Vancouver in 1887, leading to the place of discovery being called Leg and Boot Square. On July 30, 1914, the Vancouver Sun reported that recent arrivals from Kimmsquid reported a human leg encased in a high boot was found on the beach near the mouth of the Salmon River. It was thought the remains were from a man who had drowned on the river the previous summer. This seems like a real-life episode of The X-Files, but it turns out there's a perfectly reasonable explanation for the severed feet. They're not really severed, which would indicate cutting or slicing, at all. According to scientists who tested the theory, the feet likely belong to suicide, drowning or plane crash victims. It's common for decomposing bodies to come apart at the joint, making it natural for the foot to come apart from the leg. But if that's the case, wouldn't hands be similarly susceptible to washing up on beaches? Nope, that's where the shoes come in. While the rest of the body naturally decomposes in water, feet are surprisingly well protected inside the rubber and fabric of a shoe. The soles can be pretty buoyant, and sometimes air pockets get trapped inside the shoe, making it float to the surface. Most of the severed feet have been clad in jogging shoes such as Nikes and Pumas, but at least one case involves a hiking boot. In that instance, the boot and foot were matched to a man who went missing while fishing more than 25 years ago. The most recent case also involves a hiking boot. That leaves the question, why British Columbia? According to Richard Thompson, an oceanographer with the Federal Institute of Oceans Sciences, it's connected to an ocean current. There's a lot of recirculation in the region. There's a semi-enclosed basin. Fraser River, False Creek, Bird Inlet, all those regions around there are somewhat semi-enclosed. The tidal currents and the winds can keep things that are floating recirculation on the system. Several feet have also been found further south, in Washington state, which shares a network of coastal waterways with British Columbia. Others aren't so quick to accept this scientific analysis, however. Criminal lawyer and crime author Michael Slade still wonders if a serial killer is afoot.